Welcome, it's denome, and welcome to this crypto update. Now, today's video is going to be interesting because I have told you guys that I'm seeing a lot of top signals in the market, and that has definitely been true, but now I'm actually seeing a lot of accumulation as well. So I will talk about all of these different things, and I will tell you if I'm bullish or bearish as well. So we will look at the news, the fundamentals, and obviously the technical analysis also in this video, so buckle up. Now, before we get started, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and consider joining this free webinar made by 3commas.io, which is the bot trading platform, which I've made multiple videos about how you can set up a free trading bot, how you can use their backtesting tool, and a couple of other videos as well. Well, now they have this backtesting school webinar where you can ask questions and you can learn more detail about their backtesting tools as well as some success stories. So this will be on August 25th, and consider joining this free webinar if you want to. I will link this in the description. Now, let me talk to you guys about these top signals that I've seen. So 3 days ago, we saw that retail investors are back in full force, and typically that has been a top signal. And then we also saw the massive unstaking of Ethereum from the Ethereum staking pools. I will give an update in this video about that. And then I told you guys about MicroStrategy, how they basically changed the deal. They took off the security rails from their stock, and they will continue to dilute the shares even if the terms are not as favorable for the shareholders that they were before. Well, in the short term, this also means that because he took off the safety rails, it also means that he will now go into the market and buy Bitcoin. And it's just the shareholders who basically are losing capital here. So in the short term, we might actually get a bullish reversal because of this action. It basically shows that they are still in full force, still buying Bitcoin. So I could easily see that we have another relief rally before things get really sour. But I will give you a full update in this video about that as well. But I just wanted to kind of uh, give the flip side idea as well to this bearish sentiment that I made in this video. So let's talk about an update on that. So I referred to this guy called Josh Man, who was the guy who basically predicted $84,000 Bitcoin price to the actual final dollar number and to the minute of the day as well, which was absolutely nuts. But now, since he basically stopped buying MicroStrategy stocks, he still believes that Bitcoin will go to $444,000, and he has been making a lot of bearish posts on MicroStrategy instead. So now people are calling him Satan, and they are blaming him for the for the pullback in the stock price. They are giving him public death threats as well. So this is literal cult behavior, and typically in cults, people invest with emotion rather than logic. And when that happens, that usually leads to overextension, and then people get really hurt. So what I said in this video is definitely true. It's just that the timing of when shit hits the fan is unknown. So that is basically the thesis there. Then we had a major update on meme coins. So Kanye West, he launched a crypto token. And this is just one of those top signals that you typically see when celebrities start launching their own meme coins. That sucks the liquidity out of the market. So in this scenario, 94% of the token supply was controlled by insiders. So this might be one of the most extractive events in crypto. And as you can see here, 6 months ago, Kanye asked, why are all of these unnamed people not giving the number for CZ Binance? So CZ Binance comments, I will DM you. So it seems like they actually made this altcoin together. And also other exchanges are basically jumping in on the action of this scam meme coin. So crypto.com is already announcing that they immediately allowed the trading of the meme coin there. So the meme coin, it actually went all the way up to $2 billion in fully diluted value, and then it dropped about 70% from the top already. And personally, I'm not touching that coin at all. I'm not going to short it. I'm not going to long it. I'm just gonna stay away from the project. But here you can see that a clean wallet funded by $1.3 million from BitGet, Bybit, and KuCoin hours before, and it exclusively only bought the new Kanye token on the first minute. So a lot of crime is basically happening on chain, and this is what's inhibiting the crypto adoption, in my opinion. Whenever we see a little bit of bullish action, a lot of these scavengers come online and basically suck all of the liquidity, because all of these celebrities, they start pumping their own coin, and we don't really see real adoption for crypto. So the retail investors that do come into crypto, they get sucked into these different annoying narratives, buying meme coins of the day, and real projects don't get that much adoption, which is a shame. But this is just one of those top signals that I'm currently seeing. It could mean that this season continues to go for a while, but this is not good for the markets, in my opinion. Then WLFI minted 200 million USD1 tokens in their WLFI Treasury. The fastest growing stablecoin of all time continues to scale. Well, I don't believe this is actually true that it's the fastest growing stablecoin of all time. But anyway, it is growing and is completely backed by 1-to-1 with USD and US Treasuries. So they are minting more stablecoins. And then we had this news coming from Brazil that they had the first hearing on proposing a $19 billion Bitcoin strategic reserve. And at face value, when I saw this, I was like, okay, this is extremely bullish, obviously. But then when you look at the details, it starts to be less bullish. So the first point is that it's a first hearing and it is just a proposal. So it could take a long while before this actually becomes a thing. But there's a lot of hurdles to actually get this thing approved, because here you can see that the proposal on August 20th enters conclusive analysis phase by 4 chamber committees: Economic Development, Science, Technology and Innovation Committee, Finance and Taxation Committee, and Constitution, Justice and Citizenship Committee. And each committee must approve the legislation before it advances to a full chamber consideration. And then it requires approval from both the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate to then become a law. So it seems to me that now there's like 6 different things that all have to align before this becomes a law. So I can easily see that one of these committees just because they don't like the current government or whatever the reason, they block this bill. They will not allow it to pass. I can easily see that happening. Now, I'm not a pro on Brazilian politics. Maybe it's just a breeze and it will go through. But in my opinion, this is hot air from what it looks like. It is not reality. It's just a narrative that might drive the price up, but this is not happening in in the near term. That's what it looks like to me. Now I could be completely wrong here, but that's basically my take on this. And then, actually, I don't want to talk about those, but Nakamoto, which is a new Bitcoin treasury company, apparently they have bought 6,000 Bitcoin into their Bitcoin treasury. Now, I like this post here, but the question is, how is a company with a market cap of $86 million able to hold $678 million in Bitcoin? How does that work, and why is it not flying up? And somebody is commenting here, proof of reserves or it didn't happen. So now the question is obviously, did this actually happen or not? And I didn't look at all of the details if it actually happened or not, but hopefully it did, and hopefully they are buying Bitcoin. It's a nice purchase if they actually did pull it out. But it's quite an interesting event, so to say. Now, I will skip those because these crypto Senate bills don't really actually affect when I looked at the details. But here we have a seller of Bitcoin. So ARK 21 shares, it's an ETF. They sold some Bitcoin. So I don't know if I should actually even mention it because it's an ETF. So let's continue. We will look at the ETF sales in whole at the end anyway. EU explores Ethereum or Solana for digital euro. So this might actually be bullish. So when we take a look at the details here, this news was originally posted on Financial Times. And this basically came about a couple of weeks ago after the Clarity Act and the Genius Act were passed in the House in the United States, and it basically allows more market share of United States dollar in the crypto sphere because they are running the stablecoins on public blockchains. And one of the points that I mentioned in those videos is that Europe is now considering making the digital euro onto the public blockchain. So now we have an update on that event. So they have been rethinking how the European CBDC project should be restructured or structured. So they're thinking if they will go on a public blockchain like they are doing in the United States or a private ledger like they are doing in China. So if they use a public blockchain, then it could be run on Ethereum, or I don't know where they come up with the word Solana here. I'm fairly sure that it will not be launched on Solana. If you take a look at almost any good crypto project, almost all of them are running on Ethereum. And most of the meme coin scams are running on Solana. So most likely, if Europe is going to choose a blockchain, most likely it's going to be Ethereum if they choose a public blockchain, and then they will adopt Solana as a secondary blockchain. So they will eventually use both, obviously, but I don't know why they're using these two as the only examples. So anyway, that's the narrative there. Don't really want to talk about anything else here that they were saying, but basically what they were saying that the US dollar by adopting the blockchain could gain more market share in the markets, and that will be bad for euro. So they basically have to do this. So that's the speculation at least. Then I will want to give you an update on what's going on with the Ethereum stakers. So in this video, I told you guys that there was a $3.6 billion unstaking event happening with the Ethereum stakers. And in that video, they basically had 900,000 Ethereum in the exit queue. And now they only have 831,000 Ethereum in the exit queue. And the wait time has dropped from 15.5 days to 14 days, 10 hours. So dropped from about 1 day so far. So in 3 days time, some more Ethereum has entered into the exit queue, but it seems like that this is actually now starting to drop, which is a good thing. So not more Ethereum stakers are panicking, the queue is going down. So that, in my opinion, is a good thing to see. And then a couple of bearish things that you have to keep in mind is that when we take a look at the stock markets, they're currently more overvalued than they were before the Great Depression 1929. So when we take a look at the price to book value ratio in .com peak, this number was at value 5, and now we're basically at 5.3, which is the most overvalued it has ever been. And when we take a look at the concentration of stocks that are performing well in the S&P 500, it is the tech stocks that are basically overwhelmingly more valuable than all of the other stocks. They are basically the only stocks that are going up, while the rest of the gang is just dragging along, while all of the concentration is at tech stocks. So if tech stocks go into a bear market, it's likely that the whole S&P 500 index will have a major pullback to the downside. So these things are still happening on the background. It's practically speaking only a matter of time before this will have a major pullback to the downside. Now, it might not go all the way down to the same level they were during the great financial recession or GFC. What is I forgot the name GFC, but anyway, the 2008 crisis. The value was at 2. So if it would drop all the way down here, the prices would basically drop by 50%. So let's see if that will happen or not, but they are massively overvalued at this moment in time. Now, the retail interest in crypto and Bitcoin, they have also had a pullback, which is quite nice to see. So this actually peaked here. The term crypto peaked at a value 29, and right now it's at value 20, which is something that I do like to see. So retail investors came in hot. They got basically dumped on by the markets, so they lost interest. So this is this is in my opinion a good thing to see, but at the same time it's annoying that when the retail investors come, immediately the markets completely tank afterwards. So it is what it is, but now it's in a more healthy place. So now what we basically hope for is some consolidation here and continuation to the upside if you are bullish. Then let's talk about the updates on Bitcoin Treasury companies. There has been a slowdown in this number. So what we have been tracking is a increase of about 3.9% on the last 30 days. But now the increase has only been 2.3% in the last 30 days. So it's clear slowdown. So here you can see basically a flattening of the curve here. But at the same time, we have a lot of new entities that are tracked as Bitcoin treasury companies. So in the last update, there were 294 companies. Now there are 300 companies in total. So more companies are basically adopting the treasury strategy. So it's likely that they have some funding already available for them in the pipelines. So maybe we will see another renaissance in this format here. And then on the Ethereum strategic reserves, they are still continuing to buy in masses. So here on August 18th, we saw Bitmain acquire 373,000 Ethereum, which is roughly $1.6 billion. Then we saw some minor Ethereum purchases, and SharpLink on August 19th actually bought 143,000 Ethereum as well. And I think I have another update on this. So yes, on August 21st, SharpLink bought another 40,000 Ethereum valued $173 million. So they are still buying. They still have access to capital. Uh, Actually, I saw a post from SharpLink where the post itself was quite bullish, but a lot of investors in the comments started to complain because the SharpLink gaming stock has not performed as well as Ethereum price. So even though they are acquiring a lot of Ethereum, which is bullish for Ethereum, the stock price of SharpLink is not basically keeping up. So as of now, this still looks bullish, but eventually, in my opinion, these will dry up, these sources of new investor capital. But then let's take a look at the US ETFs. So on the Bitcoin ETFs, we have basically only seen selling here over the last week. These are diminishing, so we might turn bullish here in the next coming days. But the Ethereum side is interesting because the Ethereum side has already flipped back to buying. So there was a $300 million purchase yesterday into the Ethereum ETFs. So that is something nice to see as well. So Ethereum seems to be much better than Bitcoin. We're seeing a lot of more adoption in Ethereum than in Bitcoin as of now. But then let's take a look at other fundamentals. The first one, when we take a look at the supply of Bitcoin on exchanges, this has continued to grow, which means that some people are taking profits. They are sending their Bitcoin over to the exchanges. Typically, that's what that's they do this because they want to sell their Bitcoin. So it has continued to increase, which is obviously not great. The stablecoin market cap last week rose about $6 billion within one single week, but this week we haven't seen any increase. So it's basically zero increase in stablecoin market cap, even though we saw a couple of mints on the on USDT Treasury. We also saw a mint on USDC Treasury. We saw a mint in the WLFI Treasury as well, but it is not reflected in the chart actually. So no increase in stablecoin market caps. And then at the lows here, we are actually seeing some short-term holder capitulating here in Bitcoin. So this was a move of 30,000 Bitcoin at the lows here that have been held between 90 days and 1 year. So quite a bit of selling from relatively short-term holders at these lows. It could be a capitulation event, or it could be that we actually go further down, but selling usually is not what we want to see on that chart. Then this is quite interesting in my opinion. So when we take a look at mega whales who have 10,000 to 100,000 Bitcoin in their wallets, the red line here, you can see that when they buy and also when they sell. And they were basically accumulating Bitcoin during this consolidation zone here. And when Bitcoin price went to $120,000, they immediately sold all of their stash. Then they continued to acquire more Bitcoin, basically after the price plummeted to $112,000 here. And now, since they reached the peak here, they basically been selling once again. So it seems like there's some whale manipulation going on at the moment, but as of now, they haven't started accumulating yet. But if we zoom really closely, there's some increase in their holdings at least. And at least the blue line, which have been massively selling, which is the 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin holding wallets, they have massively been selling all throughout this time, and they basically stopped selling at the peak here of $120,000 Bitcoin price. And as of since then, they have started to acquire more. So I hope that they will continue to acquire Bitcoin. But as of now, we have seen a lot of whale selling here, and that has basically entered into the yellow line here, which is mostly the ETF and the Bitcoin Treasury companies holdings, because they like to hold their Bitcoin in these smaller wallets. But this has been flat basically at the peak here. So all in all, what I'm basically getting at with the fundamentals is that they are quite neutral. We have some bullish, but not really anything too bearish. Short-term holders are selling, but not long-term holders. So it seems to me that it's quite neutral for the fundamentals on that front. But here is where it gets interesting. When we take a look at the net positions of Ethereum futures, you can see that the net position of hedge funds is currently at a record negative $4.2 billion in shorting Ethereum. So massive amounts of Ethereum shorts are currently on the books, and they are hoping that Ethereum goes to the downside. Now, what would be the funniest is if these hedge funds would actually get liquidated. But this also means that hedge funds currently are betting that Ethereum will actually continue going to the downside. I'm not sure if that's a bullish thing or not, but this is what hedge funds are currently doing, is they are selling Ethereum massively. This is also suppressing the price of Ethereum. So if these shorts would get liquidated, then Ethereum could have a very good rally to the upside, breaking the all-time highs as well. Now, looking at the short-term fundamentals liquidation heat map, for Bitcoin, most of the liquidity is below the current price range. So in my opinion, it seems likely that Bitcoin will go to $110,000. Tag this liquidation zone here, go a little bit lower. And I told you guys this liquidation zone is basically where I expect Bitcoin to go. We haven't gone there yet. So I kind of expect that we could do tag this level before any potential good upside. But there starts to be this another liquidation zone here at about $120,000, right below $120,000 to be exact. So if we have a move to the upside, I think we will hit 120K or almost 120K, and then we have a pullback to the downside based on the liquidation heat map data. And then looking at the spot order book depth, we're currently seeing massive amounts of buying, but very little selling. So as the price of Bitcoin has gone down, we have seen spot order books fill with limit buy orders. At the peak here, we saw an amount of $200 million more limit buy orders than limit sell orders. And as retail investors are currently losing interest, like I showed here, it is the retail investors most likely who are now basically throwing in the towel because they like to use market sell orders. And when they use market sell orders, the price obviously still continues to go down, but it's not shown as bullish action. It is usually the limit buy orders that the whales actually use. So currently, the whales, in my opinion, are accumulating Bitcoin at these prices. They expect that Bitcoin goes up. When it reaches almost 120K, maybe we could even go a little bit higher than that. Then retail investors get bullish again, and then they pull the rug, and then we go down again. That's kind of what I'm currently looking at potentially. And the futures markets have already turned red. So, like I told you in the previous update, that the futures traders, they were buying Bitcoin with limit buy orders all the way to the upside, and they continue to buy Bitcoin to the downside as well. I told you guys that it's likely that these traders will get liquidated on the downside, and that has now happened. And now the futures traders are starting to get bearish, while the spot buyers are getting bullish. So, in my opinion, it starts to look likely that these futures short sellers will get liquidated when the Bitcoin price will go up. So that's basically the update. And I think you started to already get a picture for my technical analysis. So now there's a couple of ways how you can look at the Bitcoin. I will talk about Ethereum also. But for Bitcoin, the first way to look at it is that this is an inverse head and shoulders. Even though typically you want inverse head and shoulders to basically come from the upside, and then you go into this pattern. This did not do that. So you could argue that it's not actually a inverse head and shoulders. But all in all, you have the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. Then we had a breakout, a retest. Now this could be a double bottom here in the short term, and then we shoot to the upside. If this breaks to the downside, we go to 110K. That could still, in my opinion, work as support, and it doesn't break this structure. But we cannot really go any lower than that because then this market structure has broken, in my opinion, and then we can no longer talk about inverse head and shoulders. So one way to look at this is that this is a double bottom, and we now go to the upside. If we tag a little bit lower here and we go to that $110,000, then it's technically not a double bottom, but then we have basically this trend line to look at for the bullish action. So this is basically the bullish way to look at it. Now the bearish way to look at it is that we had this rising wedge, and it has broken to the downside. And when that happens, then typically something like this happens. And this is currently kind of what I'm getting at. Let's go out of the logarithmic view to the normal view, because then the lines align better. So we could have a move to the downside here. We take out the liquidity at 110K. Then we rally to 120K, which would take us back to this trend line here to retest this trend line. And that would be basically coinciding right before the release of the WLFI token. So we could see a bullish action for, let's say, a week or 2 weeks. And then when the WLFI is near the launch, we start to get data from the Federal Reserve. Maybe they will not do a rate cut, and all of these bearish indicators start basically piling up on that time, and then we have a major tumble to the downside. This is kind of currently what I'm unfortunately getting at. I'm not saying that this scenario is not possible to go to the upside, because we haven't broken these price levels yet. So if we do go to 110K, I think Bitcoin could easily still bounce from there, and this would still be valid. But this structure is already valid. And in both scenarios, even if this starts to look bullish, you have to remember that this bearish structure here is still intact. So Bitcoin right now doesn't look like an asset that really wants to go to the upside. But now let's talk about Ethereum. Ethereum has an interesting situation. So Ethereum, when we take a look at the weekly view, first off, this was the all-time high here. And we basically touched the all-time high, and we had this pullback to the downside. And now Ethereum has had support from this previous price structure here. So this could now flip into a support, and Ethereum could actually break out of here for the next couple of weeks, and we could hit a new all-time high here. But I think that Ethereum, even though when it hits all-time high, we liquidate the short positions, retail investors pile in, but then I believe that a lot of people will want to sell their Ethereum, and we will not see the massive bull run that we saw in 2020 and 2021. I think this market this time is a little bit different, unfortunately. But all in all, Ethereum still looks bullish in the short term, but the upside potential for Ethereum, $5,000. The highest I currently see Ethereum going is basically $6,000 in if it has a breakout, and above that, I have to wait and see, because we have all of these basically bearish indicators on the market and on the US economy as well. So maybe if the United States announces that it will start buying Bitcoins one way or the other, the bull market could continue. But I believe most of the bullish narratives, the people who have been front running the bullish narratives, have already done so. So I don't really see that much new capital flowing into crypto, unfortunately, as of now. So it seems like this bull market might be short-lived. That's currently my take on it. Maybe Bitcoin could still tag that 130K, which I have said earlier, but I will basically wait and see. So right now, Bitcoin is at a decision. Will it break the 110K below it, or will we have a bounce from it? But all in all, if we have a breakout to the upside, then it's likely that 120K is basically the next stop. One more thing I wanted to mention about Ethereum is actually in the short term. So when we go to the 1 hour time frame, you can see that Ethereum right now is having a breakout already. So Ethereum breaking out of this structure. So if you are bullish on LDO, LDO almost broke out of the structure. Let me actually take these lines out. These are too confusing right now. So LDO is also breaking out of the structure. It's already attempted to get out of the structure, failed, and now it's basically trying to get out of the structure again. So Ethereum could have a nice move towards the weekend if retail investors basically come back. And because SharpLink is still buying, the action is now on Ethereum. The Ethereum ETFs were bullish. So in my opinion, it looks almost likely that Ethereum in the short term will continue to pump, maybe at least to the previous high here, while Bitcoin is lagging behind Ethereum. That's kind of my current thesis. Bitcoin to 120K, Ethereum to the previous all-time high, and then we will see if we actually break out of it. But that's basically my update for today, that in the short term, we could still see a move, liquidate the longs here, and then a rally to 120K, and then take it from there. But that's the update today. Now, again, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and consider joining for this webinar and learn more about backtesting trading bots. That's it. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.